Hello, I'm Vic Bearcroft, and yesterday I had a rather wild and extremely close encounter with some wolves at the UK Wolf Conservation Trust near Reading in Berkshire. So today I not only want to share with you some of those experiences, but also I want to guide you through the process and techniques needed for you to produce your own beautiful wildlife paintings in pastel. The subject of today's painting is Torak. And Torak is one of the male juvenile wolves at the centre, and his name means perfection. So let's hope we can get perfection in the painting and do him justice. Having chosen a photograph of our subject, the next thing you need to do is to transfer a rough, soft pencil sketch onto the velour paper. Now you can use whichever method you prefer, gridding, trace down, or freehand. I've chosen to do mine freehand, as I always do. And the black pastel, these are hard pastels made by Conte, and the black pastel should always be used to begin with to strengthen your sketch and give you a real solid outline, if you like, before we start applying any colours. Now what we'll do first of all, we'll start with the eyes, the most detailed areas, and then work around and gradually fill in the fur textures around the edges. So using your black pastel, take the corners, the sharpest point, and just start to sketch in the shape of the eyes, just shading in softly the little bits of the corners of the eyes there, the tear ducts. Get the placements of the pupils. Notice that I'm using the pastel very sketchily. We don't want any hard, solid lines because this is an animal with natural fur, of course. And always keep looking back at your photograph, make sure that everything's in the right place. It's advisable as well, if you can, just to use the pastel in the direction of the growth of the fur. So we don't have any vertical fur growing where there should be horizontal fur, for example. Keep it quite loose where there's shading under the eyes. Already you can see this skeleton of black pastel really starting to give some form to the painting. Okay, we'll just come around the muzzle and the nose. Get the nice rounded shape of the muzzle there. The lip, bottom lip will just be a little dark shadow, so that's all we need to do there. Outline of the nose. Don't be tempted at this stage to block in the whole nose in black. Dogs' noses are not purely black, they have a lot of shine to them. And then we'll go to the ears. Again, using very sketchy marks, nothing too solid. The ears themselves do have fur around the outside and in the inside, of course. And then we can deal with these edges of fur which separate the head from the ears. This gives this lovely domed triangular shape of a wolf's head. And sketching the other ear, we have some dark shadow inside the ear on that side. Again, sketching in quite loosely the hairs inside the ears. Use some zigzag strokes to suggest the hair on the back of the neck, where it goes away like that, and back down to the cheek. Again, using zigzag strokes on these rather clumpier sections of fur, and suggest the little corner of the mouth, the bottom lip, and back to the other cheek. And then of course the mane or the ruff around the neck. Nice, big, bold, zigzag lines, nice thick fur on that side. And finally, just a few little hairs on the top of the head to suggest the crown of the head there. So that's the outlining completed. Now what we need to do is add some colour to that to start to bring it to life. What we're going to use for the flat colours are these round, softer pastels. These are Ashby pastels. There's a lot of red-brown in the ears and around the muzzle, so we'll take this red-brown Ashby pastel and gently stroke the pastel over the ears and then softly push it in a little bit with your finger so that you can still see some of the nice sand-coloured velour paper underneath. And then we'll do the same with the muzzle. As you're doing this, try to remember that the muzzle is round, so we need to get some strokes following the direction of that roundness in the muzzle. Again, stroking as we go. This is like stroking the animal, but it has the benefit of just taking some of the the dust off the surface of the paper, and a little bit under the eyes as well, stroking in the direction of the fur growth. And finally just a little dab in the centre of the forehead to bring all these colours together. So that should be enough for the red. The next colour we will need to use is a sort of brown grey, and again this is an Ashby soft pastel. Torak here is typical of a North American grey wolf. He's grey in places, tawny brown, yellow in places, a nice mixture of different colours. So we can use the brown paper, we can use the grey pastel, the red pastel, lots of different colours, and tie them all together. And this should give us the perfect colouring for this portrait of Torak. Again, let some of the grey drift down into the reds that you did earlier on. A little bit inside the ears. At this stage, we'll use this grey just to put an undercoat, if you like, where the nose is going to be. That's enough of the grey. And the final tone we'll use for the layering down of the soft pastels will be this creamy Naples yellow. And we'll use this in the eyebrows. Don't worry about it looking bright at this stage, it will be toned down later. And simply by just rubbing it in with your finger will help to tone it down and connect it with the colours around it. Again, softly, nice and gently underneath the eyes too. Pushing and stroking as you go. Just imagine you're stroking the wolf himself. The more gentle you are with him, the less he's likely to bite you. And we'll pop a little bit around the tip of the nose. And again, this ties all these colours together, the grey, the red and the yellow, together with that sandy coloured background that we have. And this will finish off the soft pastels. All that's used for is to give an undercoat, if you like, before you start adding detail to your portrait. Having finished our underpainting, if you like, the tonal colours, what we need to do now is to just put a little bit of detail in on top of the colours so we can get a suggestion of the fur texture. And what we're going to use for this is a dark grey hard pastel again, and simply go around starting in the centre of the forehead and just flicking in a little bit of shadow areas for the fur. So these are basically little dark areas in the fur which is caused by shadows. And again, if you try just to flick these in the direction of the fur growth, you'll get a much more realistic finish. Once you've completed a little section like that, again take your finger and just stroke, you can be quite vigorous with it, stroke up the centre of the forehead and around, and then just apply a few more little strokes. This will start to take away some of the strong colours underneath, but also give you this lovely realistic fur texture. And then we'll do the same on the other side of the head. You notice that all this fur on the top of the head is roughly the same length, it's quite short. Try as you're working just to vary the angle of your strokes a little bit. So we don't want all these lines in parallel. That would make it look like the wolf had just been to the hairdressers for a blow dry, and we don't want that.